observer, or someone who will have a success story to share in the future. Seize this opportunity and join the train. Bye for now.
The conversation never ends.
Let the person walk, we will vote him. You see, the person doesn't have to even tell us to wait for the godfather to take him again.
You carry your file entering where? Who won't give you job?
But I mean, some people have succeeded. Unfortunately.
So, let's not lie.
No.
It's Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 6 o'clock.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, family of Falga electoral officer alleges threats to her life. INEC also not to modify order on access to election materials. Political parties revealed their concern ahead of Saturday's elections. Banks yet to comply with Supreme Court order on old Naira notes. Foreign scene, Belarus opposition leader jailed in absentia. I am Kalada Kurubatibo. Good evening. The husband of the electoral officer in Port Harcourt local government area of River State, Ammonia Lulu Briggs, says his wife, Omertier, is receiving death threats. Dr. Lulu Briggs told journalists in Port Harcourt that his wife is being threatened for refusing to compromise the results in the just concluded elections. He said unidentified persons have been spotted around their home since after the elections.
She was under pressure to change the result and she refused. And she decided to keep faith with the people. This is what they voted and her life is under threat. And declared what the people voted for. There's so much threat, unknown numbers, calling, threats left, right and center. She came to serve her country. The last 2 days we've seen unusual movements around our house. Last night our dogs were like crazy. This morning some tinted cars moving to and fro. So I had to move her to a safer abode. She has done what she's supposed to do. It's for the world to know that whatever that happens to my wife, they should know that it's as a result of what came out from this election.
Dr. Lulu Briggs, however, called on INEC, the police, other law enforcement agencies, and the university management to ensure that nothing happens to his wife.
Let the security agents, especially the Inspector General of Police, the INEC office to know this is a non-politician that was called up to serve our nation. Fellow persons that did not do what she did are now like she's proving to be a righteous person. How else can we save this country if we don't stand by the truth? Otherwise, you will discourage other persons from coming out to render such service to the nation. We want to have a good nation. How else will we do it when we start compromising our conscience? She has stood by the truth. Let the security agents, especially the Inspector General of Police, the INEC office to know. To call on the university community to protect her.
On his part, the chairman of River State Civil Society Organization, NFI Jodrell, said the organization will make a formal complaint to the AIG of police in River State. He said no amount of threat will make the result change.
That result should not be altered, and they should go ahead to announce the result as the EO has rightly imputed the correct figures. We are going straight to meet with the AIG to do a formal complaint since he's in charge of the elections. The police saying that the police should stand up to its responsible duty of protecting these Nigerian citizens that have chosen to stand by the law and truth. The only way to encourage people like this is to give them bigger jobs, is to entrust more public functions and duties to the international community is watching, civil society is watching. And we want to say that INEC, who have given her this job, should come to her aid and come out clean.
Recall that a viral video surfaced during the collation of the presidential and National Assembly election in Rivers State, where an electoral officer was seen facing pressure from party agents to compromise the election result from Falga. Meanwhile, some members of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, who served as electoral officers during the presidential elections, have been speaking on what transpired during the elections. One of them, who spoke anonymously, tells our correspondent that the RAC agent at a polling unit did not provide the correct passwords to upload the election results during the elections. Another core member urged INEC to work in security and intensify voter education to ensure credible elections and voters' confidence in the coming governorship elections.
INEC, I think they should please help us work on the security of the day of the election. My polling unit was with two security officers whom disappeared around the time we were counting the vote, and it was unsafe. If anything had risen up at that time, it would have been very bad for us.
The security expert Efe Wanogo has urged INEC to ensure the logistics and other challenges witnessed during the presidential and National Assembly elections are properly addressed to curb electoral violence in this Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. Mr. Wanogo tells correspondent Emeka Otuka that the integrity of INEC to conduct a free, fair and credible election casts doubt in the minds of the people following the outcome of the presidential elections.
INEC is already having a crisis of confidence. There is a loss of confidence as far as the citizens are concerned. So INEC will need to do a lot to restore any modicum of confidence on herself as the key election institution in the country. To that end, the whole process of arrival of election materials, timing of arrival, to collation of results, to transmission must be gotten right, because many people will be approaching such polling units and centers now with their preconceived mindsets. And if they believe that INEC is going to go the same route that they went previously with regard to non-transmission, you never can tell what the outcome. You cannot foreclose degeneration into violence.
The security expert also called on the security agencies, especially the police, to punish its personnel involved in electoral fraud before the next election.
There has to be more proactive actions on the part of principal actors, the security agencies. Many people are trying to say, they prevented us from doing this. So I hope that such extreme positions do not lead to a violent outcome. That is why I think that a very proactive response is expected from the security agencies, from key political actors.
Some leaders of political parties in various states are worried that there could be voter apathy and violence in Saturday's governorship election following the outcome of the presidential election. They said the electorate have lost confidence in the system and may possibly not turn out in their numbers during the governorship election. The chairman of Action Democratic Congress, ADP in various State, Christian Kendrick, spoke to our correspondent, Suebi Oduwari, on this.
Very difficult now for we to bring out everybody to come out vote, because the expectations of the voters were cut short in the presidential election. I think it will be difficult to have the masses come out to vote in good numbers like they did for the presidential election, because the expectations were very, very short. So obviously we'll be getting low turnout, because INEC did not do as expected of them. Sincerely speaking, we're not expecting so much turnout because of they have lost faith in the umpire.
Mr. Kendrick called on the security agencies to be neutral and allow the will of the electorate prevail.
I think there will be a lot of resistance from the people this time, because the presidential election was like a learning curve for them. So they've seen what they saw in the presidential election. There will be a lot of resistance, and that's part of violence. My advice to them: stay apolitical. If they are political, the violence will not erupt. Liverpool will not take this time. It's connive when the security connive to ensure that their rights are being trampled on. They will not take it for one. Let us have security agents stay apolitical. Do not take sides. That's our advice to them. Allow cast their vote and defend it.
On his part, the spokesperson of APC in the state, Darlington Wauju, said urgent steps should be adopted to address the unprofessional conduct of security agencies during elections.
There has to be something drastically done on the part of the INEC and
the security agents. Something has to be done. Those who participated, who aged knocking of ballot boxes must be brought to book. And those political office holders must be arrested. We are saying that we are seeing one-sided policing. We've complained about that before. We are saying that there is one-sided policing in Rivers State.
In the meantime, a professor of sociology and development studies at the University of Port Harcourt, Sofiri Joab Peterside, says the voter apathy stems from Nigerians' mistrust of INEC and the police.
It's a consequence of the disappointment of people with what happened at the first election, when the impression seemed to be that votes actually do not count. So I am thinking that is going to affect, whatever is going to happen, this weekend. But my appeal to citizens is that let us not despair. Just try citizens who decide that statutory responsibility and let it be, and follow through also to make sure that things are done properly.
Professor Joab Peterside advised INEC to urgently address all issues and concerns raised by Nigerians.
The non-INEC staff who are involved in this process, transparency and accountability should actually be the driving force. INEC must make sure that whatever shortcoming there was in the last election should actually be fundamentally addressed. And that violence emanates from the fact that people perceive, when the people perceive a system of actually being manipulated. So I also think that the only way that problem can be solved is for the electoral umpire. It must be seen by the citizens as being impartial. INEC would have also learned its lesson to make sure that those operational hitches that they had would have been addressed.
Moving on, the Independent Seduction petition wants to modify the order which earlier granted the candidates of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar and Labour Party's Peter Obi to inspect materials used for the election. But under they are called Atiku and Mr. Obi's request to inspect presidential electoral materials. Still on this, INEC says it will address the grievances of the PDP regarding the presidential election outcome. INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, said this while addressing members of the PDP who protested at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. He said the Commission does not have any allegiance to any political party. The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar led the protest today alongside other leaders of his party. The protest is part of the party's position that the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections were not transparent. Reacting to the protest, Governor Nyesom Wike said he warned the leadership of the PDP over its insistence that Northerners hold on to the presidential ticket and national chairmanship seat of the party. Governor Wike, who spoke at the commissioning of Chokocho Igbodo Road in Eche local government area, said he owes nobody an apology on his insistence that power returns to the south. Still ahead, banks in Port Harcourt yet to comply with the Supreme Court order on old Naira notes. Stay tuned. A quick break.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Alex Wele, now here we go.
Welcome back now to the rest of the newscast. A former federal lawmaker, Chibudom Nwoje, has called on the electorate in Rivers State to vote for the candidate of the PDP, Siminalayi Fubara, in the forthcoming governorship election. Mr. Nwoje made the call during a visit of Ekpeye stakeholders and leaders of other ethnic nationalities at his Port Harcourt residence. He said Mr. Fubara is qualified to build on the legacies of Governor Wike's administration.
I urge Rivers people and other stakeholders in the Rivers project, including our brothers and sisters from other parts of the country living in Port Harcourt and Rivers State, to turn out this weekend to vote massively for the PDP and its flag bearer, Siminalayi Fubara, other candidates for assembly positions in Rivers State.
The stakeholders to put efforts together to ensure Fubara and other PDP House of Assembly candidates emerge successful in the Saturday's polls. He said the victory of the PDP will foster progress and continuity of good governance in the state.
Indeed, SIM will build on the legacies of the Wike administration, and having learned that Wike will consolidate the achievements Wike has recorded in infrastructure development, in the health sector, in education in Rivers State. To defend the Rivers State people has ensured that the state is brought back to its former glory and Port Harcourt restored to the Garden City.
An autopsy to unravel the cause of death of a 12-year-old Christian school pupil, Whitney Omodeshola Adenoran, who died on February 9, will begin on April 4. The coroner, Magistrate Olabisi Fajana, gave the date after entertaining submissions of all counsels who appeared before the court sitting in Ogba. In business, 3 days after the Supreme Court ordered that the 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira notes should remain in circulation till December 31, some commercial banks are yet to comply. Our correspondent who visited 6 commercial bank branches reports that the naira scarcity situation may have worsened, as most of the banks are not in on only once bank customers express their frustration at the situation. They say doing online transactions is now difficult.
I don't feel comfortable because when you come to the bank, you see many crowds in the bank. That's why that the Supreme Court has said that we should take both the old and the new currency. But we don't even see the old, talk more of the new. So I'm not just that happy.
For the past 5 days or more, I've been trying to load airtime and buy airtime from my bank and also make transfers. It's not working for I even had to come down to the bank ATM to buy airtime from the ATM and it's not working. It's really frustrating. USS is not working. Bank app is not working. Now ATM is not working. The banking sector in Nigeria is a terrible extent. Well, I should be disappointed, but then you expect these things from Nigeria, so I choose not to be disappointed.
A POS operator who spoke to our correspondent said the old notes are not in circulation despite the Apex Court ruling. She spoke on the reason for their exorbitant charge.
If you buy money, you know the way you use and use it. Depends on the way you're buying. Some people are buying 300. So if you buy 300, like you do 400 or 500. That's just depends the way you go. Right now, we don't even see where to buy except nobody even have the money. For now, I don't have money now, so I don't know how much I'll charge.
It's not after the online buying system being introduced by then.
You have to make people and restrict the money necessary in the use of resources. The aspect of CBN system will not allow economic growth to be allowed access to just try to make a transfer. It's not going, and so it doesn't look for players. The internet system not effect, and so this less policy, which is supported with a strong internet-based system, which has not been perfected.
Now in entertainment, Nollywood actress Regina Daniels has called on celebrities and movie producers to put an end to child labor in the entertainment industry. In a recent video she shared on her Instagram page, the actress said she understands how dangerous the industry is for women and she was only spared to a certain level because of the influence of her mom. In sports, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from this week's Indian Wells Masters event, with the Serb unable to enter the United States. The 22 Grand Slam winner had applied for special permission to enter the U.S. because he is not vaccinated against COVID-19. The U.S. requires international visitors to be vaccinated.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
A Belarus court has sentenced the country's main opposition leader to 15 years jail in absentia. Sevlana Tikhanovskaya fled Belarus in 2020 after running against authoritarian leader Alexander Lukashenko in the presidential elections. She is widely thought to have won. On the news this evening, you heard family of Falga electoral officer alleges a threat to her life. INEC tells tribunal to modify order on access to election materials. Political parties in Rivers State revealed their concerns ahead of Saturday's election. Banks yet to comply with Supreme Court order on old Naira notes. On the foreign scene, Belarus opposition leader jailed in absentia. The news was edited by Martha Okere. Cloudy weather expected in Port Harcourt this evening. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Kala Dakurubatubo. Good evening.